We are 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Mark Oppold, and before we go to Chicago, checking in on the wheat condition here, the spring wheat crop, and the harvest here that's winding up in a lot of areas for the hard red winter crop and soft red winter here as well. But first, the condition of this crop. Wow, we know it's in dire straits in many areas. North Dakota, only 36% of the crop rated good to excellent now. That's down another 5%. Montana, only 8% of their crop rated good to excellent. Minnesota, a lot better. Interesting how close by neighbors here to North and South Dakota. Minnesota, though, 85% rated good to excellent. They've got the rain, and that shows in their good to excellent ratings. South Dakota, 10% rated good to excellent there. So again, how quickly the weather can turn in from state to state. Idaho at 7% good to excellent. Real quick look at the winter wheat harvest progress here. Nationwide, we are 67% complete. As the 5-year average, 65, right on target there. Winding up in Kansas at 93%, Ohio at 77, and the other, again, the soft red belt. Moving elsewhere, Nebraska over halfway. Had some relatives in Wallace, Nebraska. A good crop out there, they were reporting. Overall, the state is 52% done, and in South Dakota, did get it started at 14%, and that's right on target with the 5-year average. Todd Horwitz joining us, Bubba Trading, BubbaTrading.com, live from the floor in Chicago. Todd, it's a weather market, and you're watching technically these numbers. How close are we to where you want to get back in?
Mark, good morning.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've been in from the beginning. I was looking for higher prices for quite a while. Now the question is, with the pullback, I think we need just a small little bit of a pullback here, and I think we look for higher prices again. I think if you look at corn, you know, we're going to probably, you know, in December come back down to around 4, maybe a little bit less than that. But again, I think that's a good opportunity. In fact, I can see corn in the 5s now instead of just in the mid-4s, which where our original objective was. And soybeans, wow, they ran from from 9 through 950, which was one target we were trying to see what was going to happen. And they went through so fast, and they got through 10 so fast. I'd expect a little bit of a pullback back to 10, but I think the beans are now going to participate where they weren't before in the rally. I think they look like they want to go higher as well. And of course, wheat, we were in the mid-5s way back when they were in the low 4s, and now I'm going to go to the mid-6s here. I think they're going higher, and I think that there's too many factors in the favor. Unfortunately, some of it's the weather, which again brings higher prices, but takes away from the crop. So, but the overall picture is there's a lot of good things that are happening, I think, for these markets besides everything else that we know.
Exactly. Now, we're all lower for all those you mentioned, corn, soybeans, and wheat. 1 to 2 lower maybe in corn, 3 lower, 4 lower in beans. We see 3, 4 lower in the Chicago wheat, Kansas City as well. What about a producer out there? We understand that a lot more corn is moving. Are you hearing that too?
I am, and I think producers, this is a point, you've got to look at what your costs are. You've got to look at where you're at. And if you can lock in at least a profit here, I'm not telling you to get rid of it all, and I'm not telling you not to play the big market. I'm saying at least underneath it, put in a little bit of protection so that if we do reverse and something does change and the stock markets go back to Pluto and everything changes, the things I've been looking for, then at least you're protected in case we get a big market that fails. You know, we've had a lot of false starts over the years, and that's the concern you should take. So really what we should do is just make sure that you can have a little protection so that if they do go straight up, you get to participate. But if they fall apart, at least you've locked in some of your costs.
And before we take a break here, you mentioned $5 now maybe in the play for corn. You're talking longer term, not before the growing season's over in October, or what is your time frame?
Well, I mean, obviously, I wish I knew that exactly, yeah. But I think that, look, if weather becomes a bigger story, it will go faster. But I would say it'll be within the next 3 to 4 months. I think we'll see $5 corn. So I think that's what we're looking for.
Very good. Todd Horwitz, no pulling any punches there. He's our all-star. It's all-star day here, the all-star game coming, and we love him in a market day report. Todd, back in about a minute, and we'll check the livestock trade. We continue after this. Be right back. Yeah, right. You are the all-star, buddy.
What's up, baby? How are you?
Hey, just making TV like always.
Hey, $5.50 wheat. How'd you like that call when we were $4?
How about that? I want to see $5 corn here. That's,
I think there's a good shot. I think you're going to look at it. Again, there's a lot depending on if the equity markets fall apart a little bit, because they're going to be looking for money to go. Well, and I think this is the natural spot. These are still relatively cheap assets based on what the inflation we're supposed to have.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to get a time, not that you wanted to lock in one, but just, you're not talking next week or next month maybe. Maybe next month, I don't know. But
it could be next month. Look, I don't know if we'll get that. We went up, if you look at it, we went up $1.40 in wheat in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we went up in soybeans, we went up now $1.40 as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, those are pretty big moves. Those are juicy. Those usually get sold a little bit.
And now we'll talk about livestock here in a couple seconds. And we are 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Agro Liquid, St. John's, Michigan. They are here every week, several times a week here, helping support us and getting this market information to you and helping us as well. Todd Horwitz in Chicago at the edge of that trading floor. By the way, before we get to livestock, Todd, we have a crop report tomorrow. Many analysts suggest it'll be a non-factor. I think the way you're acting, that you're in that camp too.
Mark, you know that I don't even read the reports. The money tells me what's going on ahead of time. I watch the flow. I think that's a much better gauge. Today's world, there's too much technology, and really sharp outfits know what those reports are before they even come out. So I don't really pay attention to them.
Very good. All right, livestock trade. Been a lot of pressure in the cattle and the feeder cattle and the hog complex here. Let's start with that beef trade overall. You talked about it couldn't sustain these numbers, but now we're down here below 114 in August and in October. What do you make of the cattle trade where we sit right now?
Well, I think we're getting close. I mean, I would no longer be a seller. I was a seller when we were much higher. I'm no longer a seller. I'm now looking to be a buyer. I think my target here would be the high 112, low 113s in that area. We came down there last week or 2 weeks ago and tested it, but then we bounced too fast. It was too hard to get back involved. I think we'll find some support right around there in the fat cattle. Somewhere, 113 would be a good level to certainly jump in. Mm-hmm. I think that we're going to start to see stronger prices. So I'm looking to be a buyer. It's just a question now, where am I going to get in? I want to see kind of the finish here as we come down to a bottom and see where I can convince that it looks like the bottom's in. Now, 113 was my number, and I think I'd be very comfortable with stepping in there. And the feeders, I think they've got a little bit more room to come down. I think that they've got to break that 140 plane, and then I'd be actually looking to be a buyer here. I think they've been held up a little bit too long here. I think we'll see some pullback, but again, in both cattle, fats and feeders, I'm looking to be a buyer. I'm no longer interested in selling, and I'm looking to step in and buy here. Exactly right. And you do look for better prices here into the fourth quarter. You think longer term it's going to be a good year for the cattle trade? Is that right? I do. I think it's going to be a very good year. I think we're going to have a lot of good things happening. There's other factors that will lie in there, but I think just the way that everything is set up, I think it looks to be a much better year, and I think that there's going to be a much more easier flow of money, which will allow it to free up and see these prices rise a little bit. And then the lean hog complex here, defying the odds week after week, it seems here. We go to lean hog futures, and we do see July and August especially, July and delivery. August is still higher. Are we... Well, what are your thoughts in the hog trail? Let you give your analysis. I'll tell you this: I sold them. Okay, I've taken a couple attempts and got it stuck to me pretty good, but I'm back in again, and I think that the real kicker here, I think, is the squeeze you're having in the delivery mode now. I mean, we've had this for a while, and if you go back 6 weeks, July and August were the exact same price. Now July's $10 over, and now we're starting to see a big drop off in the back. I think that you're going to see some weaker prices here. I think, and my concern is that the longer they stay up here for farmers and producers here, is the bigger the fall is going to be when it does finally come. Because again, it's just like when they take them straight down, they run right back up. Well, here they've held them up so long. I think that the weight is going to be pretty big when it comes down. I think they're going back into the mid 70s, probably, maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, and you look at that spread between August and October. I would think historically that's unusually wide, as you suggest here. Todd, thanks as always. It's BubbaTrading.com for more information, helping anyone put a marketing plan together. We certainly thank your time today. Thank you, Mark. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Todd Horwitz back with us on Market Day Report tomorrow as we wrap things up in our noon hour Central Time. And so we'll continue to watch all these markets here as we head into mid-July.
All right. Thank you, Mark.